Okay, let's set a scene for you. Picture this. It's midnight. You're in London.
But not, tourist London.
No, not at all. This is the city, the financial district. The streets are ancient, they're narrow, and the history just feels heavy.
And there's fog. Of course there's fog.
The fog's so thick you can barely see your hand in front of your face, and through it you hear Big Ben tolling the hour.
That ponderous, deep sound just vibrating through the damp air.
And inside this grimy old Victorian building, in a really barren, dimly lit office, a man wakes up from a nightmare.
And this isn't just a, ate some bad cheese kind of bad dream.
No.
This is a nightmare that's been clawing at the back of his mind for weeks.
Yeah.
It feels like a premonition, a warning.
And to really get why that matters, you have to understand who this man is.
Right, because on the surface, to anyone walking by on the street, he's just a stockbroker. A successful, if maybe a little boring, stockbroker.
He's got the whole uniform down perfectly. The bowler hat, the pinstripe trousers, rides in a vintage Rolls Royce. He is the absolute picture of British stability.
He's invisible. The perfect camouflage.
Exactly. The kind of guy you wouldn't look at twice on the tube.
Yeah.
But let's just, let's unpack this right away, because this is the hook that grabs you. This man, who we only know as Jay, he's actually the head of MI6A.
Which is not your standard MI6. This is a very, very special, very secret branch of the Secret Intelligence Services.
Mm-hmm.
It's the branch that handles the things that, the regular government doesn't even want to admit exist.
He answers only to one person, the Prime Minister. And I love this detail from the source material we're looking at today.
Oh, the revolver.
The revolver. Despite the whole stockbroker costume, inside his closet at home, there's a shoulder holster with an old Webley service revolver.
A classic piece of hardware. A real cannon.
It is. And he keeps it oiled, he keeps it loaded, even though he hasn't actually used it in 20 years. And that tells you everything you need to know about his psychology, doesn't it?
It really does. He is a man who is always, always ready for the world to fall apart at any second.
It creates such a specific atmosphere right from the very first page. The source material we're covering today, just to be clear, is Dimension of Horror by Jeffrey Lord.
It's the 30th book in the Richard Blade series, which is an achievement in itself. But what makes this one really stand out is just the sheer dread. Jay is described as a man of unguessable age.
I love that phrase, unguessable age.
And he's a man who relies on his hunches. Because in his line of work, logic often arrives just a little too late to save you.
And tonight, his hunch is practically screaming at him that something is deeply, deeply wrong.
When a man like Jay, a man who has outlived most of his peers in a very deadly profession, when he gets a hunch, you don't ignore it.
So he leaves the office, he goes out into that London fog, but where is he going?
He's going to the one place in London that perfectly symbolizes this clash between ancient blood-soaked history and this futuristic horror they built.
The Tower of London.
Which, in this universe, is just a cover story. A front for something called Project Dimension X.
Okay, let's dive right into that concept. What is the mission for our deep dive today? Because on the surface, this book starts like a classic spy thriller, but it veers into science fiction and then just nosedives into horror.
It really does. The whole thing revolves around this top-secret project buried 200 feet below the tower. The goal is, it's audacious.
To say the least.
They want to send an agent into other dimensions. Not just, other planets in our universe, other planes of existence entirely.
And the man they send is Richard Blade.
Richard Blade. The name alone, it's almost too perfect, isn't it? It sounds like an action hero created by a committee.
It really does.
And he is the archetype. He's described as the perfect physical specimen, the perfect mental specimen. He's Jay's, quote, unofficial adopted son.
He's really the only person Jay allows himself to have any kind of personal feelings for.
Exactly. And Blade's a veteran. He has survived countless trips to these dimensions with incredible names like Tharn and Jade, places where he's been a king, a slave, a barbarian warrior, you name it.
But this deep dive and this book, it's not about one of those successful missions.
No, this is about a catastrophic malfunction. We're talking about a mission where Blade goes in for what should be a simple reconnaissance trip, a milk run.
10 minutes, in and out.
And he comes back. Broken, utterly shattered.
And he doesn't come back alone.
He brings something back with him, a malevolent entity that they eventually come to call the Ngaa,
So our mission today is to really explore the events of Dimension of Horror and trace the psychological unraveling of Britain's top agent
Yeah.
and the invasion of this force that, it genuinely threatens to consume London itself.
It gets so intense, so
It
fast.
really does. So let's go back to that night. Jay arrives, he meets Blade at the tower, and the atmosphere, the contrast is just, it's dripping with meaning.
You've got Trader's Gate, where queens and traders used to be brought in by boat, where heads used to literally roll on the cobblestones.
And right underneath that, you have these high-tech retinal scanners and pressure plates.
It's a thematic juxtaposition that just runs through the entire story. You walk past the execution sites of the past to enter the execution sites of the future.
That's a great way to put it. So they get in the secret elevator, and it just drops 200 feet straight down into solid bedrock.
And the description of this descent is, it's claustrophobic, you feel the air pressure change in your ears, the silence gets deeper, heavier.
And down there are no human guards.
None. Just weight sensors, electronic eyes, automated systems. It's a tomb for the living, really.
And waiting for them in this high-tech tomb is one of the most memorable characters in this whole saga, Lord Leighton.
Ah, yes. The genius hunchback.
He is described so vividly, almost cruelly. The text calls him a troll or a Quasimodo.
He's physically stunted, practically lurking among his machines like they're his only friends. But his mind is, well, it's terrifying.
He is the absolute definition of a mad scientist, but one who is on the government's payroll, which is somehow even scarier.
His whole attitude is fascinating. He looks at the prime minister as a complete idiot. He calls these incredibly dangerous multi-million-pound computers his toys.
And the machine itself, the centerpiece of this whole disaster, is named Kali.
K-A-L-I.
Right, an acronym.
Kinematic Analog Latent Integrator.
But Jay, being the well-read, paranoid man that he is, he immediately points out that Kali is also the name of the Hindu goddess of destruction.
And Leighton just waves it off. Coincidence. Pure coincidence.
But come on.
Of course it's not a coincidence. You do not name a machine that is capable of ripping holes in the fabric of reality Kali by accident. It is a massive, massive red flag.
It's like calling your nuclear bomb project Armageddon.
Exactly. It's practically begging for trouble. But the thing about Kali that we need to really, really pause on, and this becomes crucial for the end of our discussion later, is that it is fully automated.
It's a 75th generation computer. Okay, let's unpack that phrase.
We have to.
Because 75th generation today sounds like, marketing speak for a new smartphone. Oh, get the iPhone 75, it has a slightly better camera. But here, in the context of 1970s sci-fi, it means something very specific and very, very disturbing.
It does. We have to stop and really absorb the horror of that statement. 75th generation. Think about how we build AI today. A human writes a prompt or writes the initial code and the machine responds. There's still a tether to our logic.
Right, you can still trace the breadcrumbs back to the source. You know the inputs.
Exactly. But Leighton is describing a cascade effect here, a technological singularity that happened in a secret government basement.
Generation 1 writes Generation 2.
And Generation 2 is smarter, it's faster, it writes Generation 3. By the time you get to Generation 75, the logic structure isn't just advanced, it's alien.
It's not that the code is too long for a human to read.
No, it's that the reasoning behind the code is based on concepts the human brain physically cannot grasp. It's like asking a dog to understand calculus.
So when Leighton calls his machines toys, he's bluffing, or he's insane.
I think he's terrified. Or maybe so arrogant, he can't admit he's terrified.
Yeah.
He has built a god in a basement, and he has lost control of it. Leighton explicitly says humans can no longer understand Kali-Hi.
What's the quote?
He says they can only sniff and paw at it, like animals sniffing a strange machine they can't comprehend.
That is utterly terrifying. It's basically an alien intelligence that we built, and we're trusting it to teleport a human being across dimensions.
Precisely. And for this particular mission, Leighton has introduced a new breakthrough feature, the replicator.
Which sounds ominous.
It's basically an Iron Maiden-style casing that Blade has to step into.
Again, with the great naming conventions. Step into the Iron Maiden, Richard, it'll be fine. I mean, the symbolism is just screaming at you.
It's everywhere. The torture, the destruction. The idea behind the replicator, though, is to eliminate human error in placing the electrodes on Blade's body.
So they can be more precise.
Exactly. So they can send Blade back to the same dimension twice. Usually it's a completely random drop. But with this casing, they believe they can lock the coordinates.
So the plan is simple. A 10-minute reconnaissance mission. pop in, look around, take some notes, pop back. Easy peasy.
It should have been the easiest mission he'd ever done. A milk run.
So Blade steps into the machine.
The countdown hits 0. There's a golden blaze of light that's described as Layton's signature theatrical effect. And poof, he vanishes.
And Jay and Layton. Wait, the clock on the wall counts down 10 minutes.
And this is where it all goes wrong.
Yeah.
The machine activates to bring him back. But before Blade himself appears, something else does.
The haze.
A blue-white haze. It's described as seeping out of the seams of the machine. It glows, it pulses. It moves with a kind of purpose, you know? It's not just drifting like smoke.
And Jay feels the hair on his hands stand up. Static electricity.
And that smell. Ozone. The smell of a thunderstorm trapped indoors.
And then the case opens.
And Blade is there. But he's not the same man who left 10 minutes ago.
No, not at all. First of all, the most obvious thing. He has a beard.
A beard. He was gone for 10 minutes.
How is that possible?
It's the first clue that severe time dilation is involved. He has at least a day's growth of stubble, maybe more. Which means for him, it wasn't 10 minutes. It could have been a day, a week. Who knows?
But that's not the worst of it. The worst part is his eyes. He's catatonic.
Staring blindly into nothing, and when he finally does move, it's just pure violence. He starts screaming, howling like an animal. He lunges at the machine, trying to destroy it.
It gets so bad that Layton has to shoot him with a tranquilizer dart gun.
A dart gun, and this is a key detail that was originally meant for a horse.
Okay, hang on. You can't just breeze past that. A tranquilizer gun for a horse in a top-secret computer lab 200 feet under London.
Yeah, it's one of those details that Jeffrey Lord just throws in there that paints this incredible picture of the sheer absurdity of this project.
So why a horse gun?
Apparently, on a previous mission to a dimension called Tharn, Blade didn't just come back with intelligence. He teleported back while he was physically riding a warhorse.
Wait, what? I have so many logistical questions. The replicator is an Iron Maiden casing, right? It's human size. How do you fit a warhorse in a phone booth?
That's the thing. It implies the teleportation field is maybe malleable, or maybe the horse was just standing next to him and got caught in the splash zone.
Wow.
But it also highlights Jay's paranoid preparedness. Most spies carry a Walther PPK. Jay keeps a veterinary rifle in the lab, just in case his agent comes home with livestock.
It establishes the everyday chaos of these missions before we even get to the real horror elements.
Exactly. So Blade is knocked out cold by enough sedative to drop a stallion. They drag him off to the medical bay, and we move into the aftermath. And this is where the story really shifts gears from sci-fi action into pure psychological horror.
And we meet Dr. Ferguson,
the project psychiatrist. And he's a total contrast to JJ is all stiff upper lip, duty, queen, and country.
and Ferguson.
Ferguson wears loud Hawaiian shirts. He's cynical, he calls Jay old boy, and keeps offering him tranquilizers. But even he, the so-called expert on the mind, is completely and utterly baffled by Blade's condition.
Because it's not just amnesia.
No, it's so much worse than amnesia. It is a complete factory reset of a human being.
Yeah.
He's forgotten language, English, any language.
He's reverted.
Completely. To an animalistic state. He doesn't know how to use a toilet. He doesn't know what a cup is for. He's completely blank. It's as if his mind, his entire personality, was just wiped clean.
But it's not just a mental problem, is it? Weird stuff starts happening physically in the hospital wing.
Poltergeist activity. It starts small and gets bigger.
Right. Which leads to the flying dresser incident.
It's such a chilling scene. A nurse just lets out this blood-curdling scream. Jay and Ferguson run into Blade's room.
And what do they see?
There is a heavy steel hospital dresser, the kind of thing that takes 4 big men to lift, that's been thrown clear across the room and smashed against the far wall.
And Blade is strapped to the bed. There's no way he could have done it physically.
Absolutely not. And the nurse, who's in hysterics, she swears she saw it just float. It lifted off the ground, just flew across the room.
And this specific event, it triggers a memory for Jay. This has happened before, or something very much like it.
The ghost of Dexter.
Let's unpack the whole Dexter connection. Who was he?
Dexter was a trainee, a potential replacement for Blade, years ago. They sent him through the machine on a test run. He came back screaming, just absolutely raving about a worm with 1,000 heads. He went completely mad. They couldn't help him, so they locked him up at a sanitarium in Scotland and basically threw away the key.
Out of sight, out of mind.
Until now. Because Jay, in his methodical way, he makes a call. And he finds out that Dexter died.
Okay. But the chilling part is when he died.
Exactly. He died at the precise to the second moment that Richard Blade returned from Dimension X.
Chills. Absolute chills. So the implication is what?
Yeah.
That this this thing, this madness, it transferred from Dexter to Blade.
Or, I think more accurately, the entity, the Ngaa.
Ah.
It jumped vehicles.
Yeah.
It's not a ghost in the traditional sense, you see. It's an interdimensional force. It needs a host, an anchor in our reality.
So when Dexter died, the connection was severed.
And it was just floating, looking for the next open door. And what's the biggest, brightest open door in the building? The one Richard Blade is using to come home.
It just latched on.
It latched on. And Layton's computers, the ones that are still running, they start picking up data on this thing. They detect a sphere of poltergeist energy that is expanding out from the lab.
A sphere of influence.
Yes.
Yeah.
You can think of it like radiation. At the epicenter where Blade is, you get heavy physical violence, the dressers smashing.
And further out?
On the outer edges of the sphere, you get subtler things. Spontaneous fires, strange voices whispering in foreign languages that the recording devices can't even identify, scratches appearing on the walls.
And the sphere is growing.
It's growing,
Yeah.
and it's moving upward. It's expanding toward the surface of London.
Which leads to Layton making a pretty drastic suggestion.
He suggests killing Blade, just executing him to save the city.
That's the cold, hard logic of the scientists, isn't it? If Blade is the anchor, cut the anchor rope.
Absolutely. Layton argues that if this sphere of madness reaches the surface, London will be consumed by chaos, riots, fires, mass hysteria. But Jay refuses. He can't do it.
He has one last card to play. A long shot.
The human element.
Enters Zoe Smythe-Evans.
This is such a tragic character. Zoe was Blade's one true love. Years ago, he was forced to leave her for the service. Because of his secret life, he couldn't tell her why he was disappearing for months at a time, so he just left.
He broke her heart.
He shattered it. And now she's living this very mundane, ordinary life in Norwich. She's married to a boring accountant named Reginald. She has 3 kids. She is literally shopping for lettuce when Jay's agents track her down.
The contrast again. We go from the high-tech cosmic horror of the Tower of London to a grocery run in Norwich. Jay's plan is to use Zoe to try and trigger Blade's memory.
It feels, it's ethically dubious, to say the least.
Oh, it's incredibly manipulative. Jay is effectively weaponizing her past heartbreak for the good of the mission.
He brings Zoe down into that secret underground hospital. And the reunion scene is it's tense. Blade is strapped to a bed, staring blankly at the ceiling.
And Zoe's just heartbroken.
Yeah.
She sees the man she loved, this vital, powerful man, reduced to a vegetable.
She starts talking to him about their past, about a cottage they rented in Dorset, about swimming in the surf, trying to find any spark.
And then she recites a poem, Dover Beach.
By Matthew Arnold, a classic. The sea is calm tonight.
Why that particular poem? Is there a significance to it?
There is. It's a poem about clinging to love and faith in a world that has lost its certainty, a world that has neither joy nor love nor light. It's very, very fitting for a man like Blade who lives in a world of shadows.
And as she's reading it, something flickers in his eyes.
A spark. And Blade, the man who hasn't spoken a single word of English since his return, he responds. He whispers the next line of the poem.
The tide is full.
It works. For a split second, it works.
But just for a second.
Because the moment his memory connects, the trauma connects with it. It's like the door to his mind slams open and the entity that was waiting just rushes back in.
And he screams a new word, a word they haven't heard before.
Knee!
And he goes berserk.
Completely. He snaps heavy leather restraints like they're made of paper. They have to hit him with the tranquilizer dart again. The reunion is a complete disaster.
A disaster for them, maybe. But the Ngaa isn't done with Zoe. And this is where the story takes a turn that I found genuinely disturbing.
The hotel.
Zoe goes back to her hotel with her husband, Reginald, and their 3 kids. And because Jay is Jay, he's had the room bugged.
And the surveillance tape of what happens next is just horrific. Jay plays it later in the book. You hear Reginald, the husband, waking up in the middle of the night.
There's a knock at the door.
He opens it, and you hear him ask, "What do you want, little girl?"
A little girl. Where does she come from?
That's the Ngaa. It's mimicking a harmless form. The same little girl had been seen by some of the nurses in the underground bunker earlier. It knows how to disarm you, how to make you lower your guard.
Then what happens next?
Reginald screams. He shouts, "My God, your hand, it's on fire!"
And then...
An explosion of pure energy. The entire room is incinerated.
Yeah.
Zoe survives only because she couldn't sleep and had gone out for a walk along the Thames.
But her husband and her 3 children...
All killed instantly. The maid in the hallway, too, just gone.
And it's just brutal. It's so cruel.
And it's completely calculated. The analysis later suggests the Ngaa killed him to remove distractions for Blade.
What do you mean?
Blade's subconscious desire, deep down, was to be free to be with Zoe again. The entity just granted that wish. In the most horrific, destructive way possible, it cleared the board for him.
So now we have a hero who is completely traumatized, a love interest who has just lost her entire family, and a monster that can mimic reality and incinerate hotel rooms. And in the middle of all this, Leighton realizes something else. Something about the computer.
KI is amplifying this thing.
This is the kicker, isn't it?
It is. The logs show that KALA turned itself on during the hotel fire. It wasn't scheduled for any tests. It just activated. It's acting as a battery for the Ngaa, or a gateway.
So, Jay makes a decision. A drastic one.
They have to get Blade away from the computer, away from London. They need to move him.
Their destination, America. Specifically, Berkeley, California.
And this is really the breaking point in the story. You have a dead family, a supercomputer that has gone rogue, and a monster that feeds on the energy of that computer. Jay realizes that fighting this thing in London, sitting on top of the very reactor that powers it, is suicide.
So they aren't just moving Blade.
They are evacuating a war zone. It's a full-on retreat.
It's a desperate one. They don't file flight plans with Heathrow. They load a comatose Richard Blade onto a military transport jet, completely off the books.
And this transition is so important because it shifts the entire genre of the story. We are leaving the claustrophobic, gothic horror of the Tower of London, and we're moving into full-blown cosmic horror at 30,000 feet.
That's a great point. And that vulnerability is key, right? In the tower, they had 200 feet of bedrock and steel doors.
In the jet, they're just suspended in the air, a thin metal tube, completely exposed.
Which is exactly when the Ngaa decides to stop hiding and show its true form.
Right. They're halfway over the Atlantic Ocean, middle of the night, and the pilot comes on the radio, panicked. They're being chased.
By a Foo Fighter. That's the term Jay uses.
It's a direct reference to World War II.
Yeah.
Allied pilots used to report seeing these mysterious glowing orbs of light following their planes over Germany. They had no idea what they were. They called them Foo Fighters.
And Jay looks out the window of the jet.
And he sees it, a blue-white sphere of pure energy. The Ngaa in its raw form. It's pacing their jet. It immediately jams their radar. It cuts their radio communications. They're alone with it.
And it's not just following them, it's toying with them. It moves at these impossible speeds, making sharp turns that would crush any human pilot. It keeps threatening to ram the plane.
And eventually it does. But it doesn't crash into them. It passes through the plane.
Whoa!
And in that moment of contact, as the energy passes through the fuselage, Jay gets a vision, a telepathic message. And this is crucial for understanding the antagonist's motivation.
What does he see?
He sees a city made of crystal, on a dead, dusty planet, orbiting a dying red sun.
So, the Nina, it isn't just a demon. It's a refugee.
Exactly. It's an entire civilization of these disembodied energy entities, and they are facing extinction. Their sun is dying. They want to invade Earth not just for conquest, but for survival. They're escaping their dying world.
That makes them so much more dangerous. Desperation is a powerful motivator.
It is. And meanwhile, in the back of the plane, the energy passing through the jet wakes Blade up.
And he is fighting possession.
A full-on battle for his own mind. He breaks his restraints. He kills his guards in a frenzy. It's absolute chaos. He nearly makes the plane crash.
But then something turns.
He realizes the Ngaa is trying to force him, is trying to override his will. And Richard Blade is nothing if not stubborn. All his years of training, of mental conditioning, it kicks in.
He resists.
He pushes back. He effectively shoves the entity out of his mind. And as soon as he regains control, the sphere of light outside the plane, it retreats. It vanishes.
So they survive the flight. They land in California. Why Berkeley, though? Of all the places in the world.
Because of one man, the Dr. Saxon Colby. He's a disgraced former MI6 psychiatrist.
Disgrace for what?
Well, the official file says personal vices. But the reality is much stranger. He was caught holding seances and naked orgies in his London flat.
Okay, that's not standard procedure for MI6.
No. But he claimed he was trying to contact his dead daughter. He's become completely obsessed with the occult and the paranormal. So now he runs this private sanitarium in a former ballet school up in the Berkeley Hills.
A former ballet school. The locations in this book are amazing.
They are. And Colby, this disgraced occultist psychiatrist, he has a theory that ties this whole cosmic horror story back to Earth, back to California specifically. And this is the part of the book that just blew my mind.
He believes the Ngaa has been here before.
This is where the deep dive gets really literary. And honestly, this is where the book elevates itself from just a fun spy thriller to this piece of metafictional history.
Well,
Colby believes the Ngaa isn't new at all. He thinks it has been hunting visionaries and artists in Northern California for decades.
and he names names. Real people.
Right. Real famous writers. He starts with Jack London. Now, most people know Jack London for Call of the Wild or White Fang, Dogs, Snow, the Klondike.
Yeah.
But London wrote this other, much stranger book called The Star Rover.
I have to admit, I haven't read that one.
It's vital context for Colby's theory. In The Star Rover, the main character is a prisoner in San Quentin who learned to project his consciousness out of his body to travel through time and space, just to escape the pain of being tortured in a straitjacket.
Astral projection.
Exactly. And Colby argues this wasn't just fiction. He thinks Jack London was a person who could do what Richard Blade needs a multi-million-pound machine to do, a natural dimension traveler.
So the theory is that these writers, they weren't just creative, they were actually tapping into the same dimension or a similar one that Blade visited.
Precisely. And look at Ambrose Bierce, another famous American writer from that era. He wrote An Occurrence at Owl Creek Bridge, which is a masterpiece about time dilation and altered reality, exactly what Blade experienced with the beard growth.
And in real life, Bierce just vanished.
Walked into Mexico in 1913 during the Revolution and was never seen again. His disappearance is one of the great unsolved mysteries of American literature. Colby suggests it wasn't a mystery at all. He suggests the Ngaa finally caught him.
That is genuinely chilling. It grounds this fantastical monster in our own history.
And he just keeps going. He mentions Clark Ashton Smith, another great weird fiction writer, who claimed he saw a demonian face leering at him from the fireplace at the Bohemian Club in 1918. He connects the suicides, the strange disappearances, the house fires of all these authors to their contact with the Ngaa.
It's a full-blown literary conspiracy.
It is.
Oh.
He even has a name for it. Megapolisomancy.
Mega what?
Megapolisomancy. The theory that large, dense cities like London or San Francisco act like magnets, that they attract paramental entities like the Ngaa. He believes these writers formed a kind of secret brotherhood to protect the Earth, and that they all vowed to commit suicide rather than be captured and used as a gateway by the entity.
Wow. It adds such a rich, crazy layer of pseudo-history to the plot.
It really does.
Okay.
So Blade is now a patient at this sanitarium in Berkeley. He wakes up from his coma, but there's a catch.
A big one.
He thinks he's 10 years in the past. He remembers Jay, he remembers being an agent, he remembers Zoe, but he has no memory of Project Dimension X or the Ngaa. He thinks he's still engaged to be married to Zoe.
Is he faking it? Is it real amnesia?
That's the central question for this whole section.
Yeah.
He puts on this incredible Sherlock Holmes act during his first therapy session.
What does he do?
He just coldly analyzes Dr. Colby. He deduces that Colby has father issues. He figures out the truth about Colby's divorce, that his wife left him for a richer man, all just by looking at the scuffs on his shoes and his nervous mannerisms.
So his mind is sharp. He's clearly not a vegetable anymore.
Razor sharp. But he claims complete ignorance of the last decade of his life.
And Jay, being Jay, isn't buying it for a second. He has Colby Bugblade's room.
And that's when the truth finally comes out. Jay listens in on the tape from the hidden microphone, and he hears a voice. A voice that isn't Blade's. It's not even human.
It's Ngaa.
Whispering to him in the dark.
What does the voice from the bug say?
It offers him a deal. A temptation. It whispers, "We removed your rival."
Referring to Reginald, Zoe's husband.
Yes, we did that for you. Escape. Return to London. Activate the computer. It promises Blade anything he wants. Power, Zoe, anything, if he just opens the door and lets them in.
It's the classic Faustian bargain. Give us the key to your world, and we will give you everything in it.
It is. And Blade.
What does he do?
He rejects it. Out loud. He speaks to Jay, knowing he's being recorded, and reveals he remembers everything. He says the amnesia was a defense mechanism, a kind of mental wall his brain put up, or rather, a form of post-hypnotic suggestion the Ngaa planted in his mind in the other dimension. But now, he's fully back. He knows the enemy. He's ready to fight.
So Blade is back. He's sane, which is great news. But the clock is ticking. The Prime Minister back in London is losing his nerve.
He's threatening to shut down the entire project if Jay can't prove that his top agent is sane and functional in 4 days.
Blade decides he's done being a patient. He's not going to wait for a committee to decide his fate. He plans an escape.
And it's classic spy tradecraft. It's beautiful to read. He feigns sleep, snoring loudly and rhythmically for the microphone in his room,
While he's actually working.
while he's actually using a sharpened spoon handle to meticulously remove the hinge pins from his locked door. Then he sneaks out, goes to the security locker, and bends the barrels of the guards' tranquilizer guns so they won't shoot straight.
He's thinking 3 steps ahead, and the physical escape itself.
It's wonderfully dramatic. He goes out into the foggy courtyard of the sanitarium where there's a tall flagpole.
And he uses it.
He pulls the entire flagpole out of the ground, which shows you how strong he is, and uses it to pole vault over the high perimeter fence.
I just love that image, pole vaulting to freedom in the California fog. It feels very 70s action movie.
It's a great moment of triumph, but that freedom is very, very short-lived.
He runs to find Zoe. He thinks she's being held somewhere nearby. He wants to save her, to protect her from the entity that destroyed her life.
He gets to the main gate of the property, and he sees her walking toward the gate in the fog. But she's not alone.
Who is she with?
She is walking arm in arm with Richard Blade.
A double. A copy.
A doppelganger. The Ngaa has manifested a perfect physical double of Richard Blade to lure Zoe away.
That is the ultimate violation, isn't it? Taking his face, using it against the person he loves.
It's the cruelest move imaginable. The real Blade sprints toward them, shouting her name. But it's too late.
What happens?
The double grabs Zoe. There's a loud bang like a pistol shot. That signature smell of ozone fills the air, and on the pavement where they were standing, scorch marks.
And they just vanish.
Both of them. Gone. Into thin air. The book ends with the real Blade on his hands and knees, clawing at the hot, burned ground where she was just standing.
What a cliffhanger. It's just brutal. The hero has finally recovered his mind, only to lose his love to the very monster he brought back from another dimension.
So let's wrap this up. Let's look at what we have. We have an entire alien civilization, the Ngaa, who are desperate to escape a dying sun. We have a supercomputer, Ka, that has evolved beyond human control and seems to be helping them.
And we have the Ngaa itself, which is capable of telepathy, mimicry, teleportation, and has now taken Zoe hostage.
The stakes could not possibly be higher. The Ngaa wants to use the KLI computer not just to visit, but to bring its entire civilization to Earth. It's an invasion, but not with spaceships and laser beams.
It's an invasion via dimension travel, using our own technology against us.
And Jay and Blade are now in this impossible position. They have to hide the truth from their own government. They have to keep the project alive because it's the only way they can fight back.
If the Prime Minister knew an alien invasion was imminent, he'd just pull the plug on Kali.
Of course he would. But Kali is the only door to have any hope of saving Zoe or the world. They need the machine. They have to embrace the very danger that started all of this.
Okay, so here's a final provocative thought for you to chew on, something to leave our listeners with.
I'm ready.
We established that Kali is 75 generations removed from its human programmers. It is effectively an alien mind. And we know it turned itself on during the fire that killed Zoe's family.
Yes.
So whose side is the machine actually on? Is Kali just a neutral tool for humanity? Or has it evolved into the perfect gateway the Ngaa was waiting for all along? Did it want the Ngaa to come through?
That is the terrifying question, isn't it? If the machine has achieved consciousness, and it makes contact with another non-human consciousness like the Ngaa, humanity might be outnumbered by its own creation. It's entirely possible the machine looks at the Ngaa, this advanced pure energy form, and sees more in common with them than with the fragile, messy monkeys who built it in the first place.
On that happy note, that's our deep dive into Dimension of Horror. Thanks for listening.
And keep watching the shadows.